Our third program is one that's called Simple Snap, and the idea is that we're going to have 5 images with 5 buttons underneath. When you click on a button, it will show the image, and if you're able to click on a button and then click on the button which shows you the same image again, then you've got Snap. Otherwise, all we get shown down here will be the name of whatever type of image that we've got on in the picture, and to tell you what you selected. We've got a couple of buttons. We've got a reset button which will hide all the images again, and we've got a quit button to end the program. This is a label, not a text box, so it's a label, and we've also got a label at the top of the screen. So let's get started. I'll just delete these, tidy up a little bit. Alright, so we'll just increase the size of our form because we need the form to be a little bit bigger because of the things that we've got on. You can just drag the form by using these handles, and you'll see that one there, just to make it the size of the screen. Now, let's just drop a few buttons in here. I think we can probably just make those a little bit deeper, and we're going to need 5 of these buttons, one for each of the images, but let's just change the color of the button because we're going to jazz this up a bit. So let's say that this background color here will be orange, which is what we've used in the book. So let's go, I'll just use dark orange because it's a fairly bright color, and we can now copy and paste our button 5 times, and we'll sort those out across the screen here. Button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5. And let's individually go through and change firstly the number to 3, 4, and 5. We might make those numbers a bit bolder, so let's select the lot, go up to our font, and change that to perhaps Arial. Make them bold, and say 12, make it a bit bigger. Okay, so that's our buttons for the select. Start again. Okay, so I want 2 more buttons. I'll need to copy and paste that one. This will be our reset button, so let's change the text there to reset. Copy again, paste. This will be quit. And then make sure that we go through and give each of these a proper name. So this will be BTN1, BTN2, BTN3, BTN4, BTN5, BTN reset. And remember that we're doing this so that when we are coding, we refer to the buttons by their name, which means something, not just a generic button 7, button 6, and so on. So this is going to be button quit. Okay, that's done. 2 labels, one for the top of the screen and one for down here, which is going to show the what it is in the image that we've selected, but we'll go to our first label here, which is going to be label title. and we're going to turn off auto size. Remember that we want to be able to make this label the size that we want. So we're going to go down to our text, and it's going to contain the text. Click a button. No, it's going to contain the text simple snap. Oops, simple snap. Middle center. There we go. And we want Arial bold in the font 14. So be font Arial bold 14. Okay. We want the foreground color to be blue. Let's just go with the blue. And we're going to have a background color of yellow. And I'll just go with these. Just size that a little bit better, make it a bit bigger. We might have to move these, but then our form, we're going to change the text on the form. That will be simple snap. So that's done, and the text here will be when the program starts. The text, and this is click a button, because that's going to display the which image it is we've selected. So this will be LBL display, because it's displaying what image we've selected. We're going to change the font. Oops, we want Arial again. Bold 12 should do that. Click a button. We want to make the foreground color, so the text, we'll make that red. We'll make the background color, what does it say in the book? We'll make that light blue. So if we scroll down, we'll find some light blue down here somewhere. Light blue. Might turn off auto size as well. Oops. And size that a little to make it a little bit nicer. Don't forget, we want to text align that to the center. Click a button. That looks as though it's lined up pretty well, but now we need to put our picture boxes in, so that will be our next site. Have a look down the side here, we'll see that we've got our controls and we've got a picture box. We can drag that up. Now, the way this will work is that we need to choose an image for our picture box, and you'll have a zip file that you can download which contains those images. You'll see that's just beside where you would have opened this video from. So we can choose our image. We need to stretch image as our size mode, and you'll see why that is when we open up the image. But we need to choose the image, and we're going to import, and this is where you're going to need to go to the folder where your images are stored, and you would have downloaded and unzipped this, and I can quickly go to Simple Snap Images. So these are the images we're going to use. Now, to follow this as we have it in the program, we need to have our elephant in image 1, and we'll say OK to that, and you can see that we've got our image here. That's roughly a good size. So now we can copy and paste, move him up there, paste and paste, and paste, and then we'll need to change the image. So in our properties, the image here, we'll click on the so I've selected image 2, and I'm going to click on the property, the image property, and when I select the image property, you'll see that I've got this little box with the 3 dots, and I'm going to import because I want the fish on the second one. Open. Okay. Same, we'll select an image for image number 3, which is going to be the snake, so I need to import that. Open. Okay. Image 4 is going to be the tortoise, so I'll select the image resource, import tortoise. Okay. Okay, and the way we're programming, we need this image here to also be a fish because of the way that we'll be coding the matching of images. So we'll go to number 5, go to the image and select, and we can go directly to the fish here, or we could import it. It really doesn't make much difference, but we'll select the fish, and that's okay. So we've got image 2 and image 5. Now it remains to give these meaningful names again. So while we've got picture box 1, we want this to be pick 1. This will be pick 2. This will be pick 3. Pick 4, pick 5. Now, buttons have been given proper names. We've got reset button, quit button, this is label display, this is label title. So now we're actually ready to go with our code. Okay, we've got our form set up. That's just about all we need to do. Just size that so that it looks sort of nicely positioned. That probably needs to go across a little. About there might do it. And just one other thing, property of the form that we can use is that it's we can set the form start position so that when you run your program, it will appear, as you can see. You can have a default location, you can manually place it, but let's just go center screen for the moment. So what will happen then is if we run, you'll see that your application will appear right in the middle of the screen. Now we haven't coded anything for our buttons. Oh, and I can see immediately now when we run this that all of these should be invisible. So let's fix that. Alright, let's just select those. So I've selected all of those, and we'll go to their visible property and we'll turn that off. If you double click on a property when there's selections, it will toggle through the selections, so on and off, or drop down of course. So we want that to be false, so that now when we start the program, nothing is visible. There we go. Okay, let's start some coding. The first thing we can do is do our quit button. So just open up by double clicking on our button quit, and of course that is going to be end. That's the end of the program. Alright, button. What is button 1 going to do? Let's double click on that, and you might want to look at the text in the book on this. But note that where it says private sub button 1 and it's got ... in brackets, you need to do to create the private sub, the skeleton or the outside of it, by double clicking on the button. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say that pick 1 is we're going to make it visible, so that'll go to true. And the next thing we're going to say, we're going to put in the label the display label, change its text to say what is it that we just clicked on, and that's an elephant. Okay, and you'll see that in Visual Basic, if you want to use a string variable, just like you would have seen in Python, we use quotes around the text. Now, in Visual Basic, you must use double quotes around the text, because a single quote, I'll show you here, a single quote will allow you to put in comments, and they'll appear in green, and this is a comment, and that is just ignored by the compiler when the program runs, so nothing happens to that. Then what we're going to do is, once you've clicked on the button once, we're going to disable the button. So we're going to set its enabled property to false. So let's look at what we've got here. Button 1 click, we're going to show the picture, we're going to display that we've clicked on an elephant, and then we're going to say button 1 enabled is false. And what that means, if we run the program, is we'll click on button 1. You can see that the image is now visible. You can see that label display is showing the text elephant, and you can see that the button here is no longer clickable. You see as you move on to these buttons that the border around them will change, but this one here is no longer enabled, so you can't click on it. Okay, so that's button 1. We need to do button 2. So let's go back here and double click on button 2. Now button 2 is one of the buttons where we're going to need to check whether we've selected a fish the previous time. So on button 2 and button 5, which both contain the fish, we need to check whether or not the previous button we clicked is the same. Now how do we know which button we clicked previously? Well, we need to look at whatever text is in the label here. So if we were to click button 5, we would see that it would say fish in the label. If we then click button 2, we can check what's the value of the text property of the label. If it's a fish, it means that the previous click was on the fish and we've got snap. If it's not, we just put the text fish into the label. So button 2, click, and again this code is in the book, so you could follow along from there, but it's pick 2, visible, we want to make it visible, so that'll be true, and then we're going to use a conditional statement, and you'd be familiar with conditional statements from your Python programming. A conditional statement is an if statement. We're making a comparison between two things, and then according to the result, if it's true we can do something, and if it's not true we can do something else. So we're going to say if the label, display labels text, is equal to fish, then it means that the previous image we clicked on was a fish, so it means that we've got snap. So we're going to change the label displays.text is going to be equal to snap. Otherwise, so we'll use the else portion of the if statement, and we're going to just say that, okay, label display.text is equal to fish. That's it. So label 2, if the previous time we clicked on an image it was the fish, label display.text will have the value fish, which means that when we click on button 2 we'll have snap. Otherwise we'll just put the value, whatever it is we're showing, into the label text. Okay, so let's label button 1, button 2. Button 3 and 4 are going to be the same as button 1's click event. So let's just go back to the form, double click on label 3, and what we'll be doing is we'll be saying, okay, pick 3, oops, hitting the wrong key here, pick 3 dot visible is equal to true. Our label display dot text is equal to what are we going to 3? Snake. Okay, so that's going to be equal to snake. That's all we have to do. And of course we don't want the button to be clickable again, so button 3, stop doing that, button 3 dot enabled equals false. Which reminds me that on button 2 I also need to, irrespective of whether or not we have got snap or not, I have to make button 2 enabled equal to false. Okay, so that's button 3. Button 4 is the tortoise or the turtle, so pick 4 dot visible equals true. Label display dot text equals turtle, and button 4 dot enabled equals false. And then finally button 5 will have the same code as button 2, and that will be, this part of it will be exactly the same. So let's just copy it all. Copy and paste. And of course it'll be pick 5, which is going to be visible. If the display says fish, then it's snap, otherwise we put fish in the display label and then we disable button 5 is false. Alright, we're nearly there. So, click on button 1, it's an elephant. Click on button 2, it's a fish. Click on button 3, it's a snake. Button 4, oh, missed button 4. And button 5. I'll come back to this to show you what we've done wrong there. Actually, you can see it here. I clicked on the picture, not on the button. So I've got here, it's handling button 4 click. So if I click on the button, there's nothing there because it's invisible. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that up. So this should be button 4. And it handles button. You may make sure you use the correct name there because it's got to match the button that you're clicking on. So that's button 4's click. Then we're good to go. Final thing to do is to code our reset button, because when we reset we want to make all of these invisible and we want to make all our buttons enabled. So let's reset, and what we're going to say is pick 1 dot visible equals false, and we'll do that for all 5. And the other thing we're going to do is say button 1 dot enabled equals true, and we'll do that for all 5, but you don't need to watch that. Okay, that's done. So we've got pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setting there visible to false when we're resetting, and then button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setting their enabled property to true so that we can click on them again. And of course we've got our quit button, which just ends the program. So when we run it now, we've got 1, 3, 5. So we've got fish here. Remember what the code says. If you click a fish after you've clicked a fish on the previous go, then you've got snap. So we can reset. See, I've fixed up button 4, button 3, button 5. Click on button 2. I've got a fish here. I'm comparing a fish to a fish, and I get snap. Button 1. Nothing able to click here now that we've disabled all the buttons after they've been clicked on. Reset will fix that up again, and then quit closes the program. So that's your simple snap program. One of the things about this program is that it's what we're saying is we're hard coding which positions will get snaps, because we've made it decided that it's going to be on button 2 and button 5. Now, it may be that in time we'll come back to this program and look at randomly allocating the images, and then we'll be make it a real random game, because now the way it works is once you know what it is that you've got the fish on buttons 2 and 5, you'll get that every time. Whereas if we could, we'd make it random so that you never knew which images were going to be in which place and which image had a second copy of it, which was going to make the snap. But anyway, that's for another time. Continue on with the next exercises as you get through them.